So I'm sure you're all excited to see the Springan deck in action here, and that is a really interesting sort of adaptation of the deck here that Dennis has brought to this event. However, we'll talk about that in a moment, as Christian is going to go first here, winning the dice roll with the live twin Runick strategy, as some of you have probably noticed has been picked up as potentially one of the better decks and one of the top contenders of the meta right now.
And it's a great start. You only need any of the live twin cards alongside a Runick to really get things going. And this is exactly what Christian opened with. Obviously, any Runick card that you can use right away, specifically the Tip and Slumber, are amazing, and Christian has those two. So this is a very powerful opening. I am assuming he is playing the Masquerena version of the deck with, you know, Griffin and a lot of the, exactly, Link Force.
Should be banishing off the top of the deck with the Destruction, no?
No, I think he just used it to special summon the Yugen, so yeah.
The Gigantic here gets you into the rest of the engine, and you set up a quite strong field of disruption with the Masquerena, the pop with the live twin cards, and of course some Runick draws potentially as well.
Yeah.
So a lot of different strategies synergizing incredibly well with one another.
Absolutely, and here an unfortunate news obviously for Dennis, who has a very unique interaction in his deck that he's able to search Nibiru with, but compared to the Runick Furier deck, where Nibiru is probably the best entrap you can have, this deck, as you can see, goes into Gigantic really early, so Nibiru is pretty much always useless against this version. And yeah, now as mentioned, we will go for the Masquerena. This is the heart and soul of the deck, as you are able to continually bring back your evil twin Link monsters and then use them to go into some Link Force. So this is the usual stuff that we had seen a lot, plenty of times, but still really effective.
I think one of the weaknesses that a lot of people would try avoid with this deck generally has been because of the fact that Bestials can be very popular in the side decks, can't they?
Yeah, and I think one of the main reasons why we've been discussing this this weekend is you can basically splash Runick into a lot of different decks, and I mean, still now here Christian.
Yeah, Christian shocked by what's going on. And yep, I mean, you don't expect to play against a deck like this on the bubble, but...
Yeah, that's a Sakitama that we've banished off the top there, a newer Spirit support card featuring a entourage of other Spirit monsters in the main deck to be able to go into a rank 4 play. And for any of you who are experienced with Springans might know that it is basically a rank 4 deck. You go into Merrymaker, who can rank up into the brand new Captain Sargas, as well as the Gear Giant that gets you into more machines for your Springans. But also, interestingly enough, generic rank 4 is Prime Math Mech Alambertion. So Dennis is running a Math Mech strategy alongside the Springans.
And it makes sense, because as you mentioned, the Spirit Engine is played by some pure Math Mech decks as well. So why not splash it here? The Math Mechs allow you to set up some really good interruptions going first, or to OTK easily with access code going second. So now the setup is amazing by Christian. We know the face down is Sprite Starter, which can get him into the red if needed. But I see a monster heavy end from Dennis. Only one spell, but it's talent, so that's actually a nice one to have, I guess. We'll see.
Talent's, yeah, extremely powerful if this Masquerena resolves, because that means you're able to force it out quite early, or even maybe sometimes you can steal like an Apollosa and use it on your opponent.
Yeah, but here the question will be, does Christian know where to activate the Masquerena?
Yeah, I mean, at the same time, as you know, what this play accomplishes is that you can go into a Griffin in a zone that is pretty much protected from your opponent linking it or putting a link in front of it, because Griffin prevents the effects from special summon monster if they are not linked. So really strong card to go for.
Works really well with the arrows for the bonus effect to draw potentially 2. And Springan Carrot acts as a spell and trap disruption.
Oh, but that's a nice one. Where did he use it though?
I think he's using it on Kill. Okay.
Oh, wow. Because
I think he wants him to use a monster effect.
Yeah,
so that he can force out this talents potentially.
but you would think maybe the Mascherena was a better target there, because now technically Christian could just use his effect and draw a card and bring back the same card. As you can see here, this does not really affect much. So maybe not the best target, especially because if you only have a spell in your hand, the carrot can just negate that, and you have no other ways of you know, forcing it out.
Only one spell in the hand as well, so
yeah,
let's see if that becomes a peculiar choice or not.
this is exactly what's going on. The carrot can be used here potentially. But
I think it would make sense just to negate the talent in general, not to prevent your opponent.
yeah, depends which effect he's going for, but yeah, as expected, now he can get rid of the other Evil Twins, which makes it so that he can bring back the Lila and just destroy a card from his opponent. But finally we see a normal summon, and it is the Spirit Monster, which is Aratama, one of the older ones, which was played by a lot of different decks in the past, but it's nice to see it back in action. What it does is it can search for another Spirit Monster from your deck, essentially.
Many years ago, I actually won my very first locals with spirits.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you're going Aratama, Nikitama, then detaching from Lavavel Chain, and then you could draw a card. Yeah. Not going to see that interaction in this match here. It's going to be some rank 4 plays that Dennis can use to either go into the Merrymaker for some access into the Springans engine or into the MathMech engine, which might be significantly more powerful going second here, so we'll see how he decides to play this one out. Only Mascherena left to contend with, which I don't think Nightmare Griffin's going to be too relevant here because of the arrows, so we might see potentially some sort of unicorn spin.
Yeah, that will definitely make sense. I think Christian here just wants to make sure when to respond to Dennis.
I think he's read this the Sakitama 3 times now. Yeah, in a high-pressure situation on the final round of Swiss on the bubble before Top Cut, you want to make sure that you get everything absolutely right, especially when you're going to have to probably improvise at this stage to make sure you don't misplay against a deck you've never played against, I would assume.
And as you can see, life points are also changing fast. That is because of the Sunny Snitch continuous spell effect, which every time your opponent summons a monster while you control an Evil Twin, basically you gain 200 life points and they lose them, which is a nice bonus effect.
Yeah, it's a 400 life point deficit each time between you and your opponent, so that's one of the advantage of this deck to run in time as well.
Yeah, and as you can see here, he's gonna go for his own Evil Twin effect, just preventing a potential rank 4 from Dennis. Maybe he was fearing an exit on Knight, you know?
Which he does play, I think, right?
Maybe.
No, I think he does.
He does.
Yeah.
Wow, that would have been amazing, honestly, yeah. So well played by Christian in that sense.
All right, so rank 4 play here, nullified by the destruction effect, and with a hand that's quite heavy on monsters, Dennis might be in a bit of trouble here because there's a lot of decent ways to extend in this deck, obviously with the Cyberse engine that he's running, but also you have things like Booty, and okay, we're just going to pick up here.
Unfortunately picks up his cards, and it is Christian winning this game 1.
Do you think that the talents misstep there was really clutch?
I mean, honestly, I think that Kaiju could have been used on the Mascherena.
The Kaiju more or less, because the thing is, the talent not so much, the carrot was there, but Kaijuing the Evo Twin, especially considering he was playing the Exiton, if you just Kaiju the Mascherena, you can then go into an Exiton and clear the whole field. Obviously, there is a good chance that with like a 5-card hand, there could have been, maybe a Runick spell, like Freezing Course to negate it. But still, I think you should go for that line. Yeah. But at the same time, nothing is sure as of yet. And now Dennis gets to go first and set up his Springans combos. With some help from the side deck, and interestingly enough, I think he's the first duelist which we have ever seen siding Small World.
Yeah, I'm curious what the logic with the Small World siding is there. It's either for going first or second to try pick up more cards like Droll, potentially, or... Yeah, I mean, that seems to be the most sense based on how he's constructed his side here. Going first, I'm not sure if we're going to see too much other than maybe that Cosmic Cyclone will be really good against the Fountain.
Yeah, or draw a lock as well.
Yep.
Yeah, a lot of his side deck actually is potentially useful. As mentioned, small war can just search a lot if you're missing a combo piece or if you already got things going. Maybe you get that draw, which is nice. On the other hand, though, Christian, I'm pretty sure had no idea what's going on. So like,
that's the point.
Yeah, he might just not even touch his deck or like improvise, I guess, with maybe that third copy of Evenly Matched, which go in second. Should be good against most decks, but
I mean, he hasn't seen enough, but would you sell in Nibiru?
I mean, I don't
know.
Like,
I'm kind of thinking Chaos Hunter looks okay against Springans here if we're playing the
maybe
the Mannequin Cat. I assume is what we're
because
trying to bring that in for.
The thing is, he didn't see any of the Mathmech cards either. So
Yeah.
like, if you knew about that, maybe then, yeah, as mentioned, Nibiru, even the Ghost Spells would be amazing. But I think when you have one game won that convincingly, you really don't need to take any risks. The thing is, the Runick deck offers you engine outs to pretty much anything, obviously. So I don't think you want to overside. I would say you just keep it as generic as possible. Maybe just the rulers or the evenly, or even just Ash, which you can just use against any deck. And for the rest, focus on your engine, and that should be good to go. And if you lose game 2, then you probably understand your opponent deck and you can side better for game 3. But our duelists are pretty much done with their side decks, so we can jump right back into game 2.
In terms of the side decking, this is exactly why I think Runick and Runick variants in general are really well positioned in this meta, because they're very versatile due to the Runick engine being able to have spell and trap removal, there's effect negates, there's monster removal. So regardless of siding or not, especially into a deck you're not familiar with, you already have the tools at your disposal.
Absolutely, and let's see if Dennis will be able to advance. I see a very interesting hand with the Super Factorial, which you don't really want to open. You really want to search that off. But we start with the Booty, I think.
Yeah, Booty is a really powerful card in this deck, because you want to be able to get to the all-important field spell Golgonda, as it sends itself from the field to search out the field spell. And Golgonda has the effect to discard a card and special summon an Xyz monster from your extra deck. And that is how you get into your end field of sorts, with the X-Blower as well as the Captain Sargass. And potentially searching out Tallyho as well to make as many rank 4s and various link monsters as well as possible. That's kind of what the aim of the game is here. Not also forgetting that we have that small world package that we talked about being sided in for this matchup. Could be trying to search out something with a Droll. Perhaps he has some sort of a bridge there, we'll see.
And as you can see here, gonna access the Merrymaker, a card that was really popular in the super heavy Samurai deck as well, just as a way to search the Tyrian Regulus with this Springans little engine, but in this case it's the real deal, and we're gonna see some XYZ action from Dennis.
So this is the whole sort of gimmick of the Springan engine. You're supposed to special summon out Merrymaker, either with the rank 4 spirits as we've seen, or with the Golgonda. Activate the effect of the Springans in the graveyard, attach them onto your Merrymaker, rank up at the Captain Sargass, and then get Tallyho. So here's a small world that we talked about. Let's see, we're bridging off Ash Blossom. And I feel like either you get into a Mathmech portion of the deck or another hand trap.
I mean, I would say you go for engine here, right? You don't.
Yeah,
really
especially with drawing the Factorial.
Yeah. And,
oh, Regulus. Okay.
Goes for Regulus. Nice.
It's always fun to see people checking out the attribute and attacks matching up here. Okay, so this is a really cool way to be able to protect yourself from any hand traps and disruption, because you get Regulus online quite early.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like, though, there is any from Christian, so Dennis will be free to do whatever he wants, at least during his own turn. And as you can see, he gets to put a material under the Merrymaker, which is probably going to be used now to advance into another rank. And yeah, that's exactly what we see usually.
XE strategy not going in the typical method of overlaying, as we just simply rank up with the effect here, and Captain Sargas will be searching out the new spell card, the Tally-Ho, which will detach materials from the XE monster and then special summon those back from the graveyard equal to the number of materials you detached. So you can go like, you can get like up to 3 materials sometimes with Captain Sargas with big combos, but trying to play a little bit more conservatively by using resources to go into the Regulus to protect here.
It's basically a known XYZ Encore, but obviously much better because you get to keep the XYZ on the field as well. And as mentioned, you get to special summon back from the grave depending on the materials you detached.
So Springans kit, you might be familiar a little bit with the story of the Albaz deck of sorts. It has a lot of crossover into Tri-Brigade, into Dogmatica, into Branded, and also here it is with the Springans. As Kit will be able to search a card and then put one back, but it looks like we're not using the effect, we're using it exclusively as a way to get into a rank 4. Recycling, putting back the Merrymaker, and yeah, it looks like we are actually going to use the Kit. Branded in High Spirits.
Nice.
Okay, so this is how you access your extra deck with the High Spirits. You want to dump Iron Dash into the graveyard, and then Iron Dash has an effect to special summon a Springan monster from your deck in the end phase, and that gets the main deck Sargas monster, which allows you to detach material and then destroy a card your opponent controls.
And it is very cool, honestly, because this weekend we have seen Blackwing, Marincess.
A lot of different decks,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And this is exactly how we access the Mathmech portion of the deck. As you mentioned, it is the generic rank 4, and now the one copy of Circular still there and just as good. But actually not going...
He doesn't send Sigma.
Sigma.
The
Okay.
Nabla, okay.
Does he not play Sigma? Sigma is a free special summon from the graveyard if you control no monster in your EMZ, but it seems like he actually just doesn't run it. Okay, cool. All right, there's that High Spirits play we talked about, setting up that Iron Dash, getting another Kit to the graveyard. And I think we haven't used Branga's effect either yet, so it can also reattach onto Sargas if he needs it to.
And as you can see here, he's gonna access the Nabla.
Oh, that's actually really cool. I just noticed because we put back the Factorial, and then you can just research it out with the Circular, so not too worried about drawing into those one-offs that you don't really want to draw but search. So decent synergy there with Kit.
Yeah, we finally access the third name, which is important to resolve, obviously, Laplacian with all effects. And here,
okay.
Okay, here is what I was saying in game 1. Unfortunately, not the best maybe in this matchup, but what you can do is you can access Nibiru with this and a lot of other different monsters, obviously searching a rock, but most of the times it will be the Nibiru against other matchups. Let's see if he goes for a different one in this one.
Yeah, sadly, I don't think he's going to be searching Block Dragon. I do miss him, but yep, Nibiru is the target. Oh,
he actually
do we not have a legal
sided out the Nibiru,
Okay, right. So probably going to pick up a penalty there for that illegal activation with no targets. But as we have generic non-number monsters, you can actually combine 2 Xyzs of the same rank to rank up into a Utopic Future, and then Utopic Future Dragon. Which is an incredibly powerful tool of disruption as it negates and steals an opponent's monster effect.
Yeah, it's an amazing card that kind of fallen off in popularity, but it's nice to see it here, and it's still really, really strong.
And using the Branga's Grave effect here, this is one of the other Springan Grave effects that not only attach themselves, but can search out spells and traps, and we're going to get another copy of Tally-Ho. So I suppose this is just a form of follow-up.
Absolutely, and this is impressive stuff because you leave exactly 3 monster zone open for the Super Factorial, and what an opening. Wow.
Yeah, it looks about as good as you can hope for this first turn combo. So if you did want to at least see the Springan deck in action, this is what it does and this is what it achieves.
Yeah, I think it's really an amazing start here with basically 2 interruptions and then the super factorial, which alone can represent up to 3 interruptions. So that's amazing, amazing stuff from Dennis with this Springans deck.
I'm so curious why Iron Dash didn't get to the Captain Sargas, as that's a really important tool of disruption, but I'm sure Dennis has a plan here that we're not seeing, so we shall trust his intuition.
Now it's up to Christian, who top decks and has 3 spells and 3 monsters in his hand at the moment, with maybe a Runick tip. Oh, but he has seen enough.
Okay.
Wow. Quick one, doesn't even bother, but quickly prefers to go to the side deck.
I would have really liked to have seen those disruptions actually come into play, you know, like have them play into it and then see, okay, exactly how does the Springan deck work? Because I'm sure there was a lot of tools there that were kind of hidden that we didn't really see. You know, obviously we know what Factorial does, but it would have been cool to see how those, how that Tally-Ho could have interacted with some of the plays there.
But I mean, Christian probably knew his position. As mentioned in game 1, he didn't really get to see anything from his opponent, just a couple of Spirit Monsters. He didn't know what the goal of the deck was, and he probably didn't even side deck that much. Now he really understands, or at least most of what's going on, and I think he's gonna really adapt his deck, most likely bringing in those 3 copies of Nibiru and maybe some additional interruption. We could see Droll, maybe even the Ghost Spell, I
think Ghost Spell is actually really important because Tally-Ho, special summoning 3 Springans, is his deck or graveyard, so it should be able to prevent that.
And all of the Math mechs, of course, Ghost Spell usually really good against those.
Especially against Factorial,
Yeah. On the other end, though, Dennis obviously much more familiar with his opponent deck. Going second has quite a few tools. Maybe the small words are coming off, but he has both Cosmic and Lightning Storm as a way to disrupt the Runick Fountain, I would say.
He actually has a lot here, right? I mean, you could bring in Dark Ruler, you could bring in Droll, the Cosmics, as you said. So there's a lot of tools here. He's clearly really prepared for this matchup.
Absolutely, and he is maining 3 copies of the Star Destruction Kaiju, which we saw in game 1. Maybe now that he lost to the way he activated it, or rather summoned it, will use it in a different way. But technically, the Kaiju is really annoying for that deck, because if you get rid of the Masquerena, they usually end on both the Kiss-Kill and the Lila, which means that they cannot activate their effects. So just a single Kaiju could help a lot. And yeah, I'm definitely curious to see it. Maybe he's gonna cut some of these Spirit Monsters. The Super Factorial is also obviously not great going second, but I mean, he has a lot of tools available to him. On the other end, though, they are 1-1, and with more than 20 minutes remaining, I think it's unlikely that the match is going to end in a draw, which means one of them is probably kicked out from the tournament. The other will be guaranteed a spot in the top 64 for this event, which is obviously what you want to be at, because the top 4 is qualifying for the World Championship. The best possible achievement, I would say, that you can get in the game. And yeah, you really want to keep focused and look for that spot. But I think our duelists are preparing to finish up their side decks for what is game 3, the last game of Swiss that we are going to show you guys for Utrecht. Let's go to the table.
Starting up game number 3 here, Christian gets to go first and probably going to be seeing much of what we saw in game 1 with the ability to set up all of those crazy interactive cross-archetype disruptions between Live Twin, Runick, and Sprite together. So yeah, a real threat in the meta currently. So it's been working out really well, and we've seen it a lot in the playoff, and it's definitely something to be afraid of here. So Dennis definitely going to be relying a lot on those non-engine side deck cards, like we've reiterated.
And I do see once again a Lila and a Runick, which is all you really want to pick up when you're playing this deck from Christian. Remember, for one of these 2 duelists, this might be the last end that they draw in this tournament, which really turns this into a lore in matchup. And yeah, as mentioned, incredible start once again from Christian. We are gonna see the same as game 1.
Yes, this is as good as it gets for Christian. Probably extremely excited with how this is going here. It's pretty decent. Doesn't discard a Runick card there. I think we've got a tip and another Runick there.
Yeah,
so
tip is amazing when you open up with this. Yeah. No draw, obviously great news. And now he can just go for either gigantic first and then the tip.
is this one of your favorite Runick decks, would you say? Or is this something that you would maybe consider?
Absolutely. I mean, I really like it because it's really in my playstyle, I would say. It's not something that brings up, I guess, a combo that you completely win with, but it's based on a lot of interactions. You can play going second. I think it's really my style kind of deck, and yeah, I did play it in the previous format for a while, so I really enjoy this deck.
Yeah, lots of tools available to it. Very similar to other variants as we've seen, like Fur Hire, and it plays quite significantly differently, despite the fact that they're playing two very similar engines.
Yeah, I think the Furrier deck is more of a high risk, high reward one, with obviously Nibiru being an issue and a lot more bricks in the deck overall. But obviously, if your combo goes through, you draw like 5 cards with it, so it's obviously a much stronger one. But yeah, this is the exactly same thing as we saw in game 1.
Very powerful start here from Christian, and I think he's definitely feeling quite confident as we're about to end our turn, but not before resolving a fountain with a slumber. Oh no, that's the Sunny Snitch here that we've picked up.
Yeah, just gonna fin his deck before drawing some cards with the Runicks, I guess. He already has access to another form of advantage in the graveyard, because usually what you play are just the regular Life Twin key skill, but you obviously play the one-off Frost, which allows you to draw a card during your opponent's turn, which is great. And now he's gonna draw 2 more and banishes. Okay, Ice Spirit.
Oh, that's a one-off.
Yeah,
could be very relevant in this matchup, actually.
Yep. Picks up 2 more cards. Obviously, any of those hand traps really would be nice. Can't quite tell what he picks up, but it looks like it's 2 monsters. So there is a good chance that he picked up any of those hand traps. And yeah, he's finally gonna end on the starter. Carrot, maybe? I mean...
it's hard to tell, right? I think there's like so many power spells post-siding, so you want to be able to prevent those. But at the same time, Springans is kind of like a monster-heavy deck.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think both options do seem quite decent.
Maybe I would say in game 1, if you know you're up against this, you go for red, but in the side deck, you're always afraid of cards like Evenly, Storm, Feather Duster, so I think it makes sense that you go for the carrot.
I think he drew double blue.
Yeah,
yeah,
he did.
Wow. Which are the only copies you have left in the deck, so very unfortunate draws from this Runick Fountain, but still really solid setup. But ends his turn right here. Do you like not setting any of the Runicks after siding, considering Cosmics are really popular?
Yeah, I mean, I think I would have considered it, because if there's a Cyclone here, you just basically lose your interaction. You know?
I think sometimes the biggest fear is something like evenly matched, and so you sacrifice cards that you could have just held in your hand potentially. So if he feels confident enough that Carrot is able to sustain against it, then holding them in the hand at least gives you some follow-up if that happens. Oh, we're going to lead with Tallyho, okay. And this will special or add kit. Let's just double check how this card works when you don't detach.
Yeah, you just add any Springan from your deck, and that's it, pretty much. As straightforward as it gets.
Just a Rhoda,
yeah,
okay.
Just a quick spell, Rhoda.
All right, options available now as we search out the Springan kit. So many targets in the deck as well for kit here, as there's so much that crossover between archetypes. Let's see what we lead to with. You can special summon kit from the hand, I believe, right? With the your opponent controlling monsters, right?
I think you need the Albats, don't you?
Is that how that works?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So not really. This is
just
the normal summon.
Just the basic normal summon of kit here.
Yeah. And unfortunately, as you can see, the banishing does not matter all too much, but you can add from there as well with the effect.
Might not be super relevant, perhaps, but still 50 minutes on the clock. But that Sunny Snitch is going to start ticking down on the life points.
Yep, yep. And now we get to activate it, and as you can see, the Frost obviously resolved, giving Christian an additional draw, but I think he whiffed on that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, High Spirits is activated here, so I think Christian's just debating, like, is this actually important enough for me to negate with the carrot? And
Doesn't
he decides,
so, yeah.
no. That's the Iron Dash that's going to be able to resolve in the end phase, potentially. And we also discard in the process here. I think that was a Brothers we're discarding.
And he's still holding the carrot, so where do you think he can activate it? Honestly, what is he waiting for?
I think he's probably just scared of, like, talents or something.
Talent, right? Or Cosmic, or these kind of interruptions on the fountain. Interestingly enough, it's not Christian, but Dennis who draw into the Ghost Bell. You would expect it against, you know, the Mathmax Springans deck. Instead, being sided against Runick Life Twin, it's decent. You can use it on the fountain or on any of the Evil Twins, but maybe not too impactful. Yeah.
There is a talent in the hand, actually.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. All right, Dennis definitely hoping for some sort of monster effect activation soon.
Let's see if he will negate this Field Spell.
So we can negate and destroy with the carrot potentially if we want to, or we could just simply negate the effect, as you do have the option to choose on resolution if you want to negate. It's going to be really, really huge here if this is activated. Looks like it's okay.
He is debating still with what looks like choose Pride Blue and 2 more Life Twin monsters in the end. Really not the ideal draws, but
also important to note as well that the Golgonda doesn't even just have like a great special summon effect. It continuously boosts your Springan monsters by 1,000 attack. So this kit could potentially go battle phase, force out the carrot, maybe bait Masquerena before end of main.
Yeah, and Christian allows it, so not gonna get into this bait. He's really afraid of losing out to a talent here, and let's see if Dennis has anything going for him. He's gonna now finally have the kit, which thanks to the sent card from Brandon, which specifically mentioned Albats he can special summon. And now Masquerena is activated. Yeah.
Yeah, there's that middle zone Griffin, which is extremely important. And I don't really hate going battle phase and clearing carrot and then using talents. Might be a line to consider here. We discard the blue, which gets to reset any of our spells and traps.
Yeah, considering the starter, which
decent follow-up if that's required.
Gonna pick up a card, one more chance to get something useful like a Runick or an Entrap.
Yeah, it's just incredible how much draw power you can sustain with the Runicks, and also the versatility of these the Life Twins, giving you draws like the Frost, even just the regular Link monsters on your own turn, then your opponent's turn. You get to dig so deep, and it's really important post-siding as well, because you start to see really those powerful blowout non-engine pieces.
And now obviously he can use the key skill to get an additional interruption, destroying a card from his opponent.
Do you think you want to hit the other level 4 here?
I mean, at the same time, your opponent cannot really link it, because the thing
do
is
anything with the rank 4.
Because thanks to Griffin, obviously, special summon monsters need to be linked to activate their effects. So the Exit on Night is not an option anymore. Okay, but he goes for talent right here, which is obviously going to force out the carrot, it seems.
One thing as well about not shotgunning that's important is if we negate here, we have to tribute off the kit to kill.
Exactly, yeah.
So we can't actually bring back Lilla anymore if we do need to negate that. And I think you have to.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're absolutely forced to. I want to figure out what the last cards... I think it might be a Flashing Fire, which is a nice one to have. But yeah, as you mentioned, he's forced to activate the carrot, and now he's cut off of this Evil Twins, which mean that Dennis is not going to lose any more life points from the Sunny Snitch as well.
Trying to figure out how Dennis gets to out this Griffin. I mean, I'm pretty sure you're going to have to like overlay and then rank up into Captain Sargas to be big enough to hit over it.
And unfortunately, if that, as I think it is, Flashing Fire, that could be terrible news for Dennis.
No big Springan XE monsters in the extra deck available just directly into a rank 4. Just so much power in this deck, you know. You've got like basic disruption with this, with the, you know, your live twins. You've got the Runicks, but also like the floodgate style effect of Nightmare Griffin. So incredibly powerful. It really limits your opponent's ability to do anything, particularly when special summoned correctly into that middle zone.
And as you mentioned, the play has to be the Merrymaker. Oh, he actually attacked her.
Have we already used our battle phase?
I don't know. I see that they are counting life points, but like the Sunny Snitch is not there anymore. Like it cannot be activated, so I don't know if he already entered battle phase. Yeah, it seems that way. He did attack with that, which actually prompted Christian to use a Flashing Fire. Unfortunately, it was Flashing Fire, the best by far. Gonna banish 2 cards off the top and get rid of the Fear of Azus.
One of Captain Sargas, by the way, hit off the top here. I'm not sure if there's any way to retrieve that outside of Kit again, but... Oh, looks like we're just going to the end phase now.
Unfortunately, no more way to advance his plays. Gonna move to the end phase, and that seems like it's not gonna be enough.
We saw this happen in the playoff yesterday, where if your opponent just has the full setup, do you think you can just pass since they've not got a battle phase, and you could just try see an extra card to play on turn 5?
Yeah, I mean, that was the Dinka special, and yeah, sometimes it can make sense. At the same time, the Evil Twin or Live Twin version of the deck, it's different in that sense from the Furier, because they can still access more advantage during their next turn. So I guess slightly less possible against that version of the deck.
Yeah, Christian's up on life points here, up on advantage, and it's looking pretty bad for Dennis now, as a full hand of Runicks and Sprites is going to be able to let Christian rebuild this field.
Yeah, cut off from a battle phase, but still in a great spot.
So ideally, Christian does not want to use any of his Runick cards on this turn or the next turn either, and just try and set up with those live twins, and the live twin engine is more of the disruption here, because you do want to close this game out. But not particularly too much of a rush with the Sunny Snitch also ticking down on Dennis. And with only 1 card left in hand and a Rocky, it's going to be quite hard. That Nightmare Griffin is just causing so much problems.
Yeah. I mean, as mentioned, I think it's not needed that, you know, he goes into that runing spells now, especially because like now Dennis is only left with 1 card in hand. And if he gets on the line, the red as well, alongside with the carrot, is going to be very difficult for him.
Yeah, it's really the name of the game at this point for Christian, is how can we get to a battle phase ASAP, and it is by using the live twin and the sprites predominantly rather than any of the Runick cards. Although again, not really in too much of a rush. You're up in life points, the Snitch is helping you gain, and so that means you're still controlling the field, even if you're not dealing any damage directly by battle. The Snitch is keeping you well ahead. I think there's a Nibiru in his hand as well. He's top deck now, so just so protected from everything.
Yeah, he has a lot of cards. As you can see here, he is free to access the other card in his extra deck with a star, we could say, which is obviously the Link 4 amazing tool. Not only is it able to bring back both the Kiss and Delilah, activating both of their effects as their special summoned at the same time.
Oh, okay. That's a pretty powerful Ghost Bell.
Nice Ghost Bell here from Dennis.
I think that's completely cut off the Live Twin engine at this point.
A really nice pickup.
So, looks like it might just have to be a red and pass unless we want to use some Runicks here.
Yeah, which is unfortunate because he could have just used the red at the very start, you know. and maybe try to play around that. Of course, it needed to be linked to activate his effect, but he could just normal summon it at the very start. But
yeah, true.
now he's still in a good spot to just draw some extra cards with his Runicks.
Retrieving that 2 of Fountain, potentially with Jerry as a nice little grind tool that is offered, but just using it as link fodder here.
Yeah, I'm
Monkraker, okay.
interested in what's going on now, because Christian going for a fancy line, I would say, getting rid of his carrot and not even activating his fountain to draw a card.
Well, you're you still have like, you know, this turn to use the Runicks as you would like to, and then after that is when you need to stop using them. So it's still a decent way ahead here, especially with Muckraker. Like, such a powerful card with the synergy between Fiends. Saw it in action against Dark World yesterday, and it is here doing pretty well.
Gonna banish 2 cards off the top and draw.
Yeah, Dennis is down to 0 cards here versus a full field, including Griffin, Life Twins, and the Sprite Red. So
impressive stuff from Christian, and where there are about 4 minutes remaining and he's ahead even in life points. It seems like an upfield battle.
Double snitch as well, so
yeah.
I assume that isn't a burn once per turn either.
No, it's not, yeah.
Okay, evenly matched and a dream, I suppose, for Dennis here? I'm not even sure how far this would help, to be honest with you. All right.
And one more draw for Dennis. Could be the last for his tournament. Although his opponent does not have a battle phase, unfortunately, there is just no way to come and get ahead in terms of life, I guess. Yeah, just gonna end this turn once again. Christian not able to access his battle phase. Could just pass back, honestly. Like,
you don't need to do anything here, you know, just...
No.
Yeah, no, he cannot access...
No, it was last turn, right?
I mean, unless he skipped it before, because he used the Runick, the Flashing Fire, I guess then he skipped the battle phase, probably. Yeah. I guess he might have skipped the last turn after activating the Flashing Fire, yeah. And then now he's able to completely close this one out. Even a third Sunny Snitch, wow.
Okay, so if we special summon a monster, we lose.
Yeah, basically.
Fair enough. Even normal summon works, by the way.
Was it normals as well? Okay.
Yeah,
so
GG. That is that's seen enough. It's Christian who wins 2-1 and gets to celebrate. Yeah, this is the end and last round of Swiss, as mentioned, in what was an amazing 11 round of Swiss between Christian and Dennis. In the end, although showing off his Springans play, especially in game 2, it was Christian just having too much of a good start with the Life Twin deck going first.
Yeah, I think like in a situation like this, on the bubble, high pressure environment, sometimes you feel like really rooting for that kind of rogue strategy to do well, but Live Twin Sprite, I mean, this is why it's one of the best decks right now.
The deck is super consistent one. It has an incredible strategy. You can play with the Live Twin, you have the Sprites, you know, you have the Runick, you have so many cards combined all together, and it's working very well. And now Christian is advancing into the top 64.
Absolutely, great achievement. As mentioned, unfortunately, Dennis, I mean, tried his best. Still a great performance, going 8-3 at the European Championship, but is almost guaranteed not to make it to the top cut. On the other hand, 9-2, Christian is locked in, and we will see him more and more as the time goes by. And obviously, this is the end of the Swiss portion, as the reminder of the matches are done with. It all comes down to this. We will be able to tell you guys just in a few moments, of course, when we will be back for top 64, who those duelists are. And I'm excited to look at some familiar faces and maybe even more at some unfamiliar names, you know?
Yeah, I think that's the most exciting part about Top 64, culmination of the end of a season. We're here at the last hurdle between the World Championship and its Top 64. You want to be able to see if those efforts that people have put in throughout the whole year leading up to this point. I mean, some people take breaks and only come back for the European Champ. That's how big and prestigious of an event it is. So
Absolutely.
it's going to be crazy to see if we'll see familiar faces again, even potentially people from the playoff trying to get a second chance.
Exactly. And we know that there are for sure some of them who were successful, some of them playing in similar bubble matches. As you know, this is one of the most difficult match, I would say, of the entire tournament, because it really brings out whether you make it and can pretty much have a fresh start, because when you get to the other portion of the tournament, it really does not matter much what you did in the Swiss rounds. You really need to take one match at a time and hopefully make it to that top 4 finish, qualifying for the World Championship. But guys, there is still plenty of content coming from Utrecht. But before we go on a break, obviously we gotta hear it from Christian, the winner of round 11, and Ed is ready to interview him.
Thank you, Marcello. Yes, I am joined by Christian, the man best dressed in the vest, and now heading straight into that top 64 top cut. Christian, congratulations. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. Like that was a scary matchup. If I lost the die roll, I feel like there's a very small chance I win that, because the Springans deck, like I don't know exactly what it does. As you could see, I was reading a lot of the cards, but I know it's like a FTK kind of combo deck. Like not FTK, but like pseudo FTK. Like it makes too much. So yeah, I was very scared. But I won the roll. It was like my 4th die roll win, so I was like, at least it happened here, right? And then in game 2, I had like Nibiru and Droll in my deck, but I just didn't draw them, and I figured they would be pretty good. Like I think if I had Droll, I don't think his deck can like end on that much. Sure. And then I think I can outgrind him with the Runicks.
Going through the games, like that first one, you built pretty standard Runick board, and you interrupted the 2 normal summons, which meant that deck just wasn't going anywhere. Yeah. Game 2, sort of like you said, big field of XEs and stuff, so you just went, let's get into game 3, I'll go first and I can do it a bit more. And then talk to us about game 3. How are you feeling in that when you're 1 apiece? What's going through your mind?
So like I conceded game 2 quite early. Like my hand was actually pretty good, but I thought that my chance to win game 3 if it didn't go to time was higher, because you have that like awkwardness of like your deck can't like push for damage very easily, and you can't commit for like like you have to choose what you want to do with Gigantic on the first turn, right? So it's awkward if there's not like a lot of time left. So I just felt like with 25 minutes left, my deck is so favored going first against that matchup. And I just felt like I sided in Ash for the small worlds, because pretty sure you could small world for like a lava golem or something. And I felt pretty confident.
Well, you should be confident. Look at you now into the top 64, and you're no stranger to top cuts. You were top in Leon and also 2nd in your nationals. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
So this is all pretty easy for you by this point. So I guess we'll see what happens with the Euros. Are there any decks that you're slightly worried about going up against in this top cut that you're not so sure that the Runick Live Twin Sprite can deal with?
The mirror match. Yeah. Strictly the mirror. Like I tried for a week straight playing against myself to find cards that could beat the mirror, and basically if the mirror opens good, you lose. I couldn't find anything except for a Dark Ruler. That's the only card that gives you a chance.
And I'm guessing that may have to come out then if that matchup ever happens. But I guess we'll see. Congratulations. We're going to give you a little bit of time just to sort of compose yourself before that top 64. But congratulations, top 64 here at the Euros. Very exciting and a nice accolade to add to your currently growing list. Congratulations, Christian. Guys, don't go anywhere. We're going to be heading back to more of the replay of the WQP round 4. Because there's quite a bit of a break between Swiss and the top cut, we might also get to see some of round 5. Don't go anywhere. The rest of this tournament is going to be very exciting.